Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Bradford Cloud User Group. This is our March podcast, and I'm joined by my co-management team. Imran, hi Imran, you all right?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you, Shabazz?
Good, mate. Thank you. Good. As you can see, I'm all suited and booted up. I'm in my office, in the work office today. That's why I'm looking a bit more, looking a bit more smarter. How have you been? Everything all right with your work?
Busy. Yeah, it's really busy at the moment. Yeah.
So for those people who follow us on social media, March the 8th is International Women's Day. So we are dedicating the whole month to women in tech. And with that being said, we are joined today, our very special guest.
Way!
Hey!
Hi everyone!
Hi, how Party Poppers. How are you both?
Excellent. Very well, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. It means a lot to us that you've made the time. I know how busy you both are. For those that for some reason might not know you, do you mind just doing a quick introduction?
Sure, yeah. So hi everybody, my name is Izzy, or Isidora Katanic in full. I'm a Microsoft MVP. I'm born in former Yugoslavia, raised in the Netherlands, and currently tuning in from Switzerland.
Wow.
Hi everyone, my name is Holly Lehman. I am a program manager on the Azure Product Improvement team. I run under the customer experience, but I actually sit in the partner space, and I have the privilege of running the North Star Partner Program for our Azure MSP partners, hand-selected. I work with about 8 partners, and I am so blessed to work with this community. In past, I have worked with the customer community and the MVP community. So I'm a little obsessed with our tech community, I can tell you that. Like Izzy, I'll give you a quick recap on myself personally. I am born and raised in USA, Las Vegas, Nevada. There are Las Vegas natives, and I'm one of them. Running around hotels since I was about 2, and ended up having a whole background in hospitality to the point that I was able to open a hotel as one of the front line hires for the front office space. So that was really fun, but it did teach me how to do program management, which is when we decided, my husband and my family, to move back to Seattle, where my husband is from. It helped me align with the roles and responsibility of a program manager in Microsoft. So I am blessed that Microsoft is using all skill sets.
Look at that, we're learning about you already.
Yeah. How have you both been keeping recently? Obviously, COVID has been a massive challenge for everyone. How have you both been coping with that?
I would say, to be honest, what we're going to talk about today, the video series and the friendship that I've created with Izzy, has truly been a blessing. We'll get into that later, but I would say it's, for me, focusing on the positives, because it's been tough. I have 2 children, 7 and 9, that I've been homeschooling while working full time, and so it's been pretty chaotic. So to have moments like this where we get to focus on the positive and connect with our tech community has truly been those few days where I jump out of bed ready to get at it.
Yeah, and for me, just like Holly, indeed, I try to focus very much on the positive. I'm very thankful for all the opportunities which crossed my path in the past few months. Before, I would be extremely nervous to get on stage or to actually do a session. And thanks to, well, I don't want to say thanks to COVID, but thanks to like the situation, right? I really got out of my shell, and I got to do a lot more community activities, speaking engagement, as well as starting our show, which we're very happy to tell you more about. So overall, yeah, I think it's most important to get through it is to indeed focus on the positive.
You obviously run the Head in the Cloud Heart in the Community initiative that kind of brought loads of joy to the tech community in the COVID-19 pandemic. Lots of fun. So could you just tell us a bit about that initiative and how it started, and actually, even how did you even think of that name? Because it's an absolute amazing name. So if you can just give us some information on that.
So it's a pretty fun journey, and I say fun journey because that's how it started. I don't know, for those of you that watch Patch and Switch, Rick Klaus and Joey Snow, they are principal and senior program managers within Microsoft, and they run their own tech podcast, and we're all friends outside of the office. And Izzy and we connected on social media, which we'll get to later, and we just, we thought, let's just have fun with them. Let's do a little tease. And on social media, we decided that we were going to do a TikTok video dance, Izzy and I. And she did all the editing because she is the guru with that. And we posted it, and we held them accountable to doing their own dance back, which they haven't done yet. We're still waiting for it.
Still waiting.
The video basically went viral. And, we thought whether people were laughing at us or with us, in this really dark time, they were laughing, and we didn't care. We were sweating and we were nervous, but we posted it, and we were so glad that we did. And after we saw how the community took to just a silly TikTok video, we connected together, and I said, you have this passion for community. I had this passion. We both now cannot go to events. We cannot connect with these humans that we just want to hug and meet in person. I said, what do you think about doing, a podcast or a video series where we get to highlight these humans in tech and the cool things they're doing in and outside of their current day job? And like Izzy said, for better or worse, because of COVID, we couldn't technically do all this travel, right? So COVID allowed us to now go and virtually travel all over the world and interview humans all over tech, MVPs, Microsoft, outside of Microsoft, all over the tech community. And so that's kind of how Head in the Cloud, Heart in the Community got started.
Yeah, absolutely. So we were actually looking for something that would really show also the essence of our show, right? So what is it that we want to get across, and what describes Holly and me, and what describes the goal of the show? And I think it was very clear when you think about it, Head in the Cloud, Heart in the Community, that's exactly Holly and me, right? We both fit both descriptions, as well as our show. And it just took, I think, one brainstorming session. And as soon as this name came up, we were like, that's it. And very happy ever since.
The name actually speaks to our personalities. Head in the Cloud, which it is, and Heart in the Community, 100%.
See the hearts. Hearts everywhere.
Yeah.
For me, it signifies a bit of freedom in your content, and the freedom of a bit of very artistic, because Head in the Clouds to me sort of implies that you've got that sort of imagination to make the show whatever it is you want to make it. That's when there's a phrase, that so-and-so's got the head in the cloud. It means a bit of a free spirit. And that's kind of what your show emphasizes for me. It's a very free-spirited podcast. Every week's different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and there's a twofold purpose to the Head in the Cloud. Remember, I work on Azure. So, not only was the Head in the Cloud to give us the leeway to be open to, how it might mature and evolve, but also fundamentally, we're here for the tech community. And a lot of the tech community, regardless of what your background, passion, or team that you're working on, eventually we're all going to end up in the cloud at a certain point in our tech journey, right? And so that was kind of our thought, was be creative, let's make it techie, but not too techie, so that we didn't silo anybody out, but our passion genuinely is within the community. So yeah.
For both me and Holly, that was very important to already build a brand before we actually start the video series, right? So we wanted to have our brand ready. We wanted to have a logo. We wanted to have colors. And again, there we also looked at what resonates with us, right? What fits with us? What do we like? And not necessarily thinking like, we're like women in the tech community, we need to like man up or something. We're like, no, we like pink, we like purple, we like hearts, and we're going to use it, and we're going to show that we like it. So, I mean, that was also a whole process, right? It was not just, let's do this and done. We really thought it through, and both very happy with the brand we have built since then.
But what that says to me is you're both just being yourselves. And I think that's the most important thing in the content that we all create, that we need to show a bit of ourselves in it. And a bit like me with my I Am IT Geek stuff, I'm a geek at heart. And that's what I like to show, that I'm geeky.
Exactly.
So one thing I want to just come back to, sorry, was Holly, you mentioned around how you're obviously a mother and obviously you work as well in the homeschooling. My wife's a bit similar and she does the homeschooling, and I've got so much respect, for people like yourself who balance that. I wouldn't be able to do it.
There's no balance, friend. I'm going to keep it real with you. There's no balance. I being a PM, it now becomes part of who you are. Mm-hmm. Years ago, I worked in 2 jails and I worked in a police department, and those personality traits that you learn doing certain skills, it ends up coming into your day job. And I had to realize, like, okay, I'm not interviewing everybody in my personal life, right? So my point in that experience is, as a PM, I started to PM my kids. And, okay, let me check your day. Let me check your work. Let me correct. Let me do this. Where are you at? Where's your Zoom? Where's this? And it was overwhelming me. And I truly believe it was overwhelming my children. And so I had to take a step back and just say, you know what, Holly, like, they're going to go back to school. They're going to be fine. Give them the room to grow. And if that means they don't get the grades I want right now, I just kind of have to be okay with that. And it wasn't easy. There's a lot of chaos that's happening, especially when everybody's on Zoom and Teams at the same time, and my internet's crashing and I don't have the connectivity that I want. I mean, it gets chaotic and exhausting at the end of the day, but it's also bonded us because I got used to logging in every morning with the kids. And now that my youngest started back to school this week, I'm breathing a bit easier, and I already see her grades improving because I don't believe, for me, I'm as effective doing both. I can't do all the things and think I'm going to be at it 100%. So I had to give myself a little bit of grace to be like, okay, their breakfast might not be perfect and their grades might not be perfect, but we're all alive, we're all happy, and at the end of the day, we all cuddle on the couch and watch a show, and that's okay.
Well done to anyone out there, male or female, that's doing it, because I surely wouldn't be able to do it.
I have a shout out for our teachers because I have a whole newfound respect for them.
Well, no, absolutely agree. Definitely shout out to teachers. But I also wanted to say that we also did a show specifically to that, right? About homeschooling during a pandemic, homeschooling parents in tech, homeschooling kids at home, a son with autism. Mm-hmm. Really touch on that topic as well, on Head in the Cloud, Heart in the Community. And just like Holly said, it is real, right? I mean, I connect a lot with Holly, so I see a lot of her like personal life as well with the kids like coming in, and of course they need to eat, they need to learn, they need to be taught. It's so for any parent out there who is watching or listening today, also this podcast, lots of respect for everything you're doing.
So that's great though, that those topics you've spoken about in your podcast. It's great that you're bringing that to the forefront and showing that these are real people with real struggles, and look at what a great job they're doing. So that is a really good message that you sent there.
Well, and we had some people that said, we're not the right ones for this because it's chaos and it's difficult. And we said, no, you're actually the exact person we want, because on the show, if you watch it, there's some pretty emotional moments. It's pretty raw. I've been in tears, Izzy's been in tears, but they're good, right? And so we want to keep it real. And one of the brands that Izzy and I built together is, although we're highlighting humans in tech and the work they're doing and the side hustles and the cool things they're doing, we're also talking about like current events, and that can be a bit touchy, right? So we talked about Black Lives Matter. We talked about International Women's Day. We talked about things that are happening with COVID and some of the riots that were happening and the chaos, because I think that when we keep it real and we talk about what's relevant, it just bonds us all together, even virtually.
So you actually made a good point there about International Women's Day, which is coming up on the 8th of March. So we've decided to dedicate this whole month to women in tech. But is there any women that have inspired you to become what you are today? Obviously, you are role models, even to people like me. It's not just women. But even to people like me, who are role models, because I follow you on Twitter. Not just about women. It's also about it's also about me and Shabazz, because we follow you. You inspire us, because we were talking about it earlier. Who actually inspired you to become what you are today? I
think for me that answer is pretty simple. That would definitely be my mom and my sister. There are two women I very much look up to. I always looked up to them. I still do today in everything, and how they supported me through school or university, work, everything they've done. And then also in the tech world, currently there are so many fantastic women out there. Like you said, like we're gonna find them. You will realize how many there are, right? And I think it's awesome that that you will amplify and that you will like let their voices be heard and be seen throughout the whole month of March. And we should, of course, be doing that as allies and as supporters throughout the whole year. And I think International Women's Day today is a very important day for many of us, as well as for Holly, as for me, as the future generation, younger girls, any woman in tech. And yeah. Holly's definitely one of the women, right, in the tech world who's inspiring me and who really supports me and who's there anytime, both for career advice as well as in personal matters. And I think if you go out to Twitter and you see the ladies we interact with, there are so many amazing talents out there. Donna Sarkar, Lori Putmeyer, Jess Donson, all ladies we had on our show, and we have a lot more coming up.
For me, the list is extensively long, but I would say the two women that inspire me are my kids.
Okay.
You know, a lot of times with women, we're told like you have to fit into this mold and into this bubble. And when I was in Vegas, hospitality was just natural for me, right? I worked in every facet of the front of house. I ran a team. I supported 2 vice presidents. I opened a hotel. I mean, I've done all the things, but that was my comfort zone. So then when I moved to Seattle and I said, I need a career that's going to support my family, and I'm going to just hope that it's Microsoft. And when Microsoft took me on and I felt like a complete fish out of water being this non-technical person in tech, I did it for my kids. I did it to show my kids you don't have to fit into a mold, and you do what you have to provide for your family, and that whatever you put yourself up to, you can do it. And so to see them imitating Izzy and I when we do our podcast, or to
do our show.
Kids. Yep,
like
they do.
Your version of our show. It's amazing, really.
They do our show, and I wanted to show them that you can be successful in or outside of your comfort zone. And I encourage them to talk about career. You know, even though they're little, I want them to start thinking like, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? You can be anything you want. And so they're 2 of the women that have truly inspired me. And then of course, the list that Izzy just mentioned, I also want to include, you know, Mary Rodriguez to that, because she's been a huge mentor and personal friend for me. And I'll be honest, during COVID, I've seen who my true friends are. And Izzy has become one of my truest friends. And I could not be more blessed or feel more empowered, because she brings me along her journey, teaches me, we laugh with every episode we do. And I'm thankful for the women in tech that are in my circle.
That's excellent to hear, you know, what you've just said there about other women that have inspired you, you know, saying your children. Similar, I've got two children. I've got my daughter Zoya, who's 10 going on 18, and a son who's 6. And again, like I said, the reason I do what I do is for them. And obviously my wife as well, you know, to provide for my family, to give them the upbringing that I had. I had a great upbringing. You know, my parents gave me everything I wanted. So why should I not do that for my kids? So definitely, I agree there, Holly. They definitely do. Kids do inspire you, 100%. So we're obviously talking a lot about, you know, the tech stuff, in the good tech community stuff you do, and you work as well. When you're not doing, you know, when you're not doing tech, when you're not doing stuff in the community, what do you guys do to, you know, relax, hobbies, etc.? You know, we had Gregor on, and he was talking about he plays golf, you know, which I didn't know. So what do you guys do? You know, Izzy, if you don't mind answering first, what do you do to relax?
Tech. No, just kidding. Well, I mean, tech, it does go on 24/7, right? There's no like being out of tech. But what I do to relax, what I absolutely love doing, and that's something actually which also really actively started during the COVID times last March, April, is biking. So I really became addicted to mountain biking. I just love to get out here in Switzerland. So I grew up in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, where basically everything is flat. And whenever I would bike to school or to work or wherever I would bike to, it was always flat. However, here in Switzerland, it's a whole other level of biking. It's not just, oh, let's have a relaxed like bike tour or whatever. No, it really gets like very, very intense. But yeah, no, definitely mountain biking, and I'm very excited for spring to come back so I can jump back on my bike again.
We ended up, as soon as COVID lockdown hit, we took one of our guest rooms and made it into a gym. And I've now officially canceled my gym membership because I'm so happy working out at home. And what I love about Microsoft is they're like, hey, you can take a Teams call, go on a walk outside with your dog, go for, yesterday I ran while I was watching MS Ignite. So for me, because I do sit most of the day, it's a good stress reliever. The other thing I love to do is go out to dinner. I will never say just a restaurant or just a salon ever again in my life. So when you're cooking 3 meals a day, to have your husband take you and your daughters out and enjoy a glass of wine and some conversation and some yummy food that you did not cook and don't have to clean, I'm up for it.
I'm looking forward to go for a haircut.
But your hair looks pretty well trimmed, to be honest.
Thank you. No, yeah, because all the barbers are closed here. They're not allowed. All the hairdressers, they're all closed. Actually, I've got another question for Issy. It's a very, very serious and important question.
This is a serious topic now. Very serious topic.
If Thomas is listening, I hope he's listening. So last year, get Issy a cat. The hashtag.
Yeah.
And Tom is still not fulfilled his promise. So could you tell us a bit about, for those who don't know,
what can I say indeed? Yeah, so long story short, I absolutely love cats. So I always grew up with cats with my parents. When I lived on my own, I always had cats. And so coming to Switzerland and living with Thomas without a cat, that was something new to me. And I always felt like a cat is really missing. However, we were also both traveling a lot. So moving to Switzerland for me meant also additional travel. So first the idea was like, I'm going to move to Switzerland so we don't have to travel every month, like visiting each other, like back to Netherlands, Switzerland. Let's make the move and then have like less of that travel. Little did I realize that I actually created more travel, because now it was not one person I needed to travel to see. It was my parents, it was my sister, it was my friends, it was my family. There was a lot more people I had to travel for, right? So, and then apart from that, also community. So we're both a lot on the fly, on the road, and so on. So yeah, it was always like a cat is just not gonna work. Then the pandemic hit, and now for, already a year, we're all the time at home, all the time. So I'm like, now is the perfect time to, to get a cat. However, Thomas is being very realistic. He knows that one day this is all going to be over. We're going to be traveling again. We're going to be out there. We're going to be at conferences. We're going to be speaking. We're going to be traveling for work. And what do we then do with the cats? Well, I would say I would not mind being a crazy cat lady and just bringing my cat like to a conference, like show up at Ignite, like a cat on a leash or something. But yeah, so people figured out on Twitter I really wanted a cat, and that how during the last Microsoft Ignite, hashtag Get Easy a Cat became trending, with Donna Sarkar adding Get Easy 2 cats becoming trending. And ever since, yeah, I keep teasing Thomas that hopefully one day he will just say yes, or that I just have the courage to just come home with a cat and be like, here it is.
We were just talking about, how the podcast started, and from a personal perspective, you two seem like sisters. Honestly, the chemistry that you have is amazing. How do you actually first meet? So was it through the community? Was it an event, or is there a story behind that?
So about 2 years ago at MMS, I was connected with, and I know I'm going to say it wrong, Sam Izzy say the right pronounce his name? Birkin. And he and I got on so well, and he said, "Oh my gosh, you have got to connect with my friend Izzy on Twitter." So he connects Izzy and I on Twitter. I was supposed to go to Prague and do an event that Izzy was coordinating. Long story short, didn't work out. She and I connected, on Twitter, chatted here and there. Then I realized that her fiance, Thomas Maurer, was a cloud advocate on Azure. And I was already talking to some of the cloud advocates like Pumala Schmidt, trying to connect them with their engineering team. And then Thomas was in town visiting, and we went and had coffee. We talked about how, close Izzy and I have gotten. We started this podcast. And the long story short is, guess what? Izzy, go for it.
We have never met in person. Never. So Holly and I have not met in person at all.
No.
Yeah.
I thought you'd have met at some sort of event, like when, maybe a year and a half ago before the pandemic. I thought that's where you might have met. Wow.
No, so we've been friends for about 2 years. We FaceTime or texting all day, all night. We support each other personally and professionally. We chat, we talk. She's met my husband virtually. I know, Thomas, but we've never actually face-to-face. And we want to, the day that comes that we do meet, there's going to be lots of tears and hugging, but we are going to live stream it because everybody is shocked when they find out we've never actually met. And so it just goes to show the power of social platforms, that you can create a solid friendship. We were just at an event where two girls had said same thing. They've never met, but they're thicker than anything. And I do look at Izzy as one of my closest friends, and my kids know her, and they can't wait to meet her. So it's just it also shows that your tribe doesn't have to be, Donna and Mary and Lori. They talk about having a tribe of women that you trust and that empower each other and that you bring along your journey. But it goes to show that sometimes, especially right now, it doesn't have to be face-to-face. It's about a true connection and a trust and a relationship that you've built with respect.
Again, what that just shows is, Izzy, you touched on it earlier with, a positive out of this pandemic. It is those sort of exact stories. Myself and Imran haven't known each other as long as you guys have. We've never met, but it was through Twitter that our friendship has started, and how we started this user group. So a bit of a similar story. I don't think we'll have as an epic meetup as you two will have when we first meet up. That'll be much more.
You'll have like a slow motion, running towards each other and give each other a big bro hug.
But that's a really good story. I honestly didn't realize you'd never physically met.
It just shows that this pandemic's not just been negative, has it? It's actually been positive in some points, where an example is yourselves. You've done so much for the tech community without even without even meeting, or just doing it over social media, over YouTube, and we've not obviously been at it as long as you two have. We've only started this about a month or two ago. But we're not experts like you guys are. But
no. Hold on. We're no experts in the room, right? That's absolutely not the case, and we encourage everybody and anybody to start. So also, both Holly and I, we really appreciate what you are doing, that you started, even if people sometimes are thinking there's already so much out there, right? What can I add? Everybody has something to add to the table. Every person is an expert in what he or she thinks or has to say or has an opinion. And that's also something that we learned, right? That people, they really value to hear what you have to say, or different opinions, or from different angles, or from different countries, or different genders, like whatever it is. Any diverse opinion adds value to the table. So thanks to you guys.
Like Imran said earlier, you guys have inspired us to do this sort of content. And I think what makes what your content so interesting is, it's not just tech, it's that real life experience. And for me, now that I'm kind of, I've been in the tech community for a while now, I get a bit bored of just tech. I want to see just seeing the same tech. And even though it's great, people are doing it, I get a bit bored. I want something different. And what this content you guys do is that different bit. It's mixing tech with personal experience And that's what interests me.
Well, and I think for myself, when I started back on Intune as a PM, I ran various programs for Intune and Configuration Manager. And it was a passion of mine to not just, oh, there's another support ticket. There's a human behind the support ticket, and this is impacting their day job, their life, their role. Or, you know, when they're doing the TAP program, if the hot fix wasn't, or the hot pack wasn't right, or if there was a bug or there was something, this is impacting another human. And so I think with Izzy and I, our goal is to humanize technology. You know, Shabazz, you might have a huge passion genuinely around tech, but at the end of the day, you have a wife and you have kids. Mm-hmm. So if you're telling us feedback, we do need to listen. Because you're helping better our services, our program, and our end user experience. And so I think when, you know, Izzy and I went on this journey, we said, okay, people have this genuine passion, like Jess Dawson. She loves, you know, security and identity. Great. But she also has a child. She's married. She has a love for the tech community. So there's more to us than just, oh, I work on Azure. Mm-hmm. Or I really like AAD. There's so much more to it. And so if we can start to take the technology and put a passion and a personality behind it, then it becomes an inclusive behavior. And that was what we wanted, was you can be techie, you can be non-techie, and at the end of the day, we all have a need and a fit in this community.
We've obviously spoken about who your role models were when you know you were starting growing up or you know in your life at the moment. You two are obviously massive role models for not just women, for us as well, for me and Imran definitely. What sort of advice would you give to those women who are starting off in the tech industry, or even anyone starting in the tech industry? What sort of advice would you give them?
I think Izzy already knows what I'm going to say. It was advice from Donna Sakar, and it was be loudly yourself. Don't change to, you know, fit in with what you think the persona is on that team or that technology. We all have a brain. We're all really smart, and we all have our own personality. And if we didn't bring our personality to the table, if every tester thought the same, if every PM thought the same, if every dev thought the same, nobody would think outside of the box. And I had to realize that when I walked in a room and everyone's having this very technical conversation, I felt like, why did Microsoft hire me? And then I realized, well, because I can go in a room and get people talking. I can set up an event and bring a passion around it. We all come with strengths and skills, and you need to identify what those are with yourself until the imposter syndrome go away, and truly be who you are and show up every day being that person and identifying everybody comes with strengths and skills, and leverage those like we do in our show. So in our show, we talked about, hey, what are our skills? What are our weaknesses? And how do we work together to drive what we're doing in these video series so that we're leveraging the best of both of each other. And so that's what I would say. Just be loudly yourself, tell imposter syndrome to go away, and identify what your strengths are that you bring to the table.
I fully agree with Holly on that one. And what would I say? Well, I mean, I even have now, sometimes I get so encouraged and motivated and surprised by people who are sending messages, like whether it's publicly on Twitter or if it's in a DM. Like as recent, for example, Holly and I did a session in Lagos, Nigeria, of course, virtually, for a large group of students, which was so touching to us to really see like this full classroom of students taking notes, masked up, like really listening to what we have to say, and the feedback we got there, like the inspiration that the students got. So not only, so we spoke about our journey, about starting a podcast, what's the software we use, what's the mindset we have, what's the passion we feel, but it does not apply only if like you want to start a podcast, right? It's also whether if you're blogging or creating or building an app or whatever you are doing, to do it with fun, to do it with passion, and to believe in yourself. And I also think I am the perfect example, coming from a non-technical background, achieving my Microsoft MVP award. I mean, that's something, another positive which came out of 2020. I'm very proud of, and I would encourage any person who has the same ambitions or the same dreams, to just never give up and keep on going. just to add to that, I mean, it's of course it's that part, but I also I'm a learner, right? And I encourage anybody to be a learner, and that's also with Head in the Cloud, Heart in the Community. It's an ongoing process. It's not that, okay, we started and we knew everything from there on. No, we like really had to learn, okay, how are we going to change Lightning? How are we going to change editing? How are we going to do the intro tune? I mean, it's an ongoing process. And I would also say learn by doing. Like, also I thought like, oh, okay, we will need somebody to like cut and do the edits and everything. But in the end, I learned doing it myself. I found software. And yeah, so even if you think I'm not ready, or I don't know, or I'm not technical enough, keep all those thoughts away, because you definitely can, and you will learn by doing, and that's the best way to do it.
Well, and I think that's the one thing that I started at Microsoft about 8 years ago as an admin, left for 2 years, came back as a PM. And within that time frame, what I learned about Microsoft that I've taken with me personally is they said, if you have an idea, go for it. If you can validate it, create a hypothesis, create an action, a work plan, go for it. And if it fails, that's okay, fail fast, recover, but what did you learn from it? So failures are not always a negative. So anytime we're pretty particular, Izzy and I, and so every time we have a session, we'll go back and listen, and we think about how we could do things different, or what worked, what didn't, but it's not a negative. It just helps to constantly improve. And I think what I appreciate so much about your show is like the questions that you sent over, they were unique, they were out of the box. And that's what we try to do, is showcase the guest personality, because the tech is going to come out, right? It's going to come out that I work on Azure. It's going to come out that Izzy's an MVP. That's just going to naturally happen. But to personalize each human tells them that you actually care about having them on the show, because you did the research and the work to find out more than just, oh, they work on this technology in this company. And so that's what I think was so beautiful about you having us on the show, and the questions that you provided. So thank you for that.
To be fair, so Imran, you might want to tell the story, but Imran's never done any video content before we started this podcast. So he was new to, like you said, he was new to this, wasn't he, Imran?
Yeah, so I've been blogging. Obviously, I'm a big Microsoft fan. I always work with Microsoft. So I've been working with Microsoft technologies for 16, 17 years now. And I was always blogging. So I was blogging all my fixes and my tutorials. And I've been doing that since 2008. I'm just kind of hiding behind the scenes. Very shy, not able to come in front of the camera. Came back on Twitter, found videos, from myself, Holly, and Issy. Obviously met Shabazz and Gregor and Richard, and started doing the Azure Crazy little website that I did. And from there, that's just giving me a boost to come online and come into kind of video content. So yeah, thank you very much for all all those people that have kind of inspired me, including yourselves. But yeah, I've never done it. So I always say, if I can do it, anyone can do it.
Well, and like Izzy and I say when we do our session, is that for us, our goal and journey was a video series. It doesn't have to be that. It can be whatever your passion is. So some people, they're scared to go and learn a new technology. Some people are scared to go and start coding. Some people are scared they want to write a book and they don't know how to do it, or if they should do it, or whatever it is. And so what we try to land is, this was our journey. This was our goal. But whatever your goal is, we just want to give tips and tricks that work for us. They might not work for you. You might have other ideas. And if you do, we want to hear about them. But it was just to empower other people to showcase the positive that's happening, and then to help others. If we can push you to take that step, like Lisa Clark, we have been pushing her and saying, go be an MVP, go do it. You can do it. She's doing so much in the tech community. And she finally did. And guess what? She's an MVP. And I'm so proud of her, because it takes a lot to just jump off the ledge, if you will, and take that risk. And so that's really our mission, is to showcase what's happening and encourage others to go and achieve whatever that little creative idea is in their head that they're a little bit scared to go do.
We're trying to invite more guests onto this podcast, and also not just the experienced people, but also the ones that are very shy, that don't want to come forward, but are doing an absolute marvelous job in the tech community. But like me, who's been blogging since 2008, is there anyone that you would recommend that we should approach and bring on to our podcasts? Can you think of
Ooh.
anyone?
There's a long list of recommendations of people, but of course, in the end, it's your show. It's your choice. I do want to highlight, especially as we are talking today on International Women's Day, to check out womenonstage.net. So for any woman that's watching today and wants to be listed as a speaker, you can fill out your profile. But also especially for conference organizers or podcast hosters, anybody looking to have more women on stage, that's the perfect website, because you can filter on technologies, on topics, whether you're looking for like deep dive tech, or if you're looking more for a business or community. So I'll definitely encourage you to check out womenonstage.net. And there you have, it's like a whole candy shop where you can select some fantastic women out there.
And I think my input would be, we leverage a lot of the same humans because their names are out there and people just know who they are. But what I found is that there's been a few times where we just post, hey, we're looking for speakers, or what kind of content do you want to hear? And it is amazing how people, for good or bad, behind the camera, they are behind the screen, they do get a little bit of confidence, like, okay, I'm gonna say okay to this. And I think what I would say is what we're trying to do, in addition to highlighting stories that everybody knows, just to kind of share their story more, we're also trying to amplify people that aren't as well known. And so I would say, hey, here's what we want to talk about. Here's some content. Who's interested? What do you want to talk about? Because there's so many amazing humans out there that are just scared to raise their hand, and you're giving them the opportunity to raise their hand and take a moment to say, let me get some confidence behind me and take a shot at this. It might be worth it. And I think that there's so many amazing humans in tech out there that are just scared to raise their hand.
We think very similarly. I think when we started this, the Bradford cloud use. So Bradford's the name of the city where we kind of is our cloud user group's going to be based. Obviously, we're virtual at the moment, but God willing, when we're in person, it'll be a little city called Bradford. We want to try and promote new people. There's so many people, humans, like you said, in the community, so many established that have their brand and have loads of exposure. We want to try and focus on new people. So as part of our monthly events, we're going to always try and have one new speaker who maybe only spoke a couple of times. So we had our own. So Sajid is one of the is normally on with us. Unfortunately, he's not too well at the moment, but he presented for the first time ever. For the first time, never done any presenting in the community. Did it first time last one. Lisa Clark is going to be on for us. She's going to be doing it for. She's done presenting a few times, but she's for some reason
amazing.
She's doesn't have that much confidence. She should do, because she's amazing at presenting. So she's going to be on in March.
Sorry to interrupt you, Shabazz, but same for you. I believe you also very recently started actually doing your first sessions, right?
Yeah, it was. I've been doing it for about a year now. My first time was the Advent calendar that Gregor and Richard did, and I did video for the first time. It was the most painful experience of my life. I had so many bloopers. If I ever share the blooper reel, you probably can't tell by looking at me, but I swear a lot when I'm frustrated. Imran will vouch for that. The amount of times I've done bloopers on what we recorded. It was very frustrating, and I got put off video for a bit, and then I just got back into it over the last 6 months, and that's where I've kind of started my YouTube channel and started this as well. But it's just taking that first step, like you said. I think, Holly, you mentioned it's just about taking that first dive into it and just being yourself, I think, and that's the key.
Well, and I was going to mention Gregor and Richard and what they did with the Tech Festive calendar. When I talk, because I talk with them often in the role that I have, and they inspired me because I said, hey, tell me about, like, what is the background? What is the premise? And their premise was to showcase people in tech that typically don't have the platform. And I thought it was such an inclusive and a kind and passionate opportunity, because they know about these humans in tech that are out there that might not raise their hand, but they need to, and they should, and they're great at it. And the more that you do this, like, I think you guys are doing an amazing job, but the more you do it, every episode you get a little more confident, a little better, you fine tune, you tweak. And so I really admired what they did with that Tech Festive calendar, and they got me out of my yoga pants. So I was excited about that.
Winter dresses.
That's right. That's right.
That was that was an amazing journey. So I got for the first year to actually do the opening. Richard and Greg reached out for the second year, like, hey, shall we make it a tradition? Like, do you want to do the opening again? Do you want to write a festive tech calendar poem? So yeah, also Richard and Greg, if you're watching now, thank you so much for all the positive that you have also brought into the community.
Right.
Thank you so much for agreeing to be on. I know you're both very busy. Izzy, you're obviously on Ignite, which was huge. I bet that was massive. I can only dream about one day doing that. So that was amazing seeing you on there.
You'll get there. Really, follow your dreams, and you will get there. Definitely.
You did a phenomenal job, and I truly mean that. You really did.
Awake, weren't you, Holly? Watching. What time were you awake this morning?
So I went to bed early. I set an alarm for 12:50 a.m. I had my AirPods and my laptop next to me. And I told my husband, you might not want to sleep in bed tonight because I'm going to wake up at 1 a.m. to support her show. And he's like, are you kidding me right now? And I said, no, I want to be there for her and her cheerleader. So at 1 a.m, I logged in, put my headphones on, and then he happened to come into bed at the same time. And I said, Josh, she's on. Look, listen to her. And I like threw an AirPod in his ear, and he's like, oh my gosh, she did an awesome job. Good night. So then I went back to sleep.
That was also a big surprise for me because I did not know Holly was going to get up and that she had set an alarm. She didn't say anything. I just suddenly received a photo like, oh my God, you did so well, like, well done. So yeah, I really appreciate it. And I also think that's also showing what it is for women who empower women, right? So that she actually got up in the midst of the night to be there to cheerlead. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I was that scared. I mean, being live on Microsoft Ignite in the live studio on the main stage, I mean, that's huge. that's really, really big. So yeah, so I'm really thankful for having that opportunity, and I hope it really inspires many others as well. Yeah, just follow your dreams, achieve your goals, and things like this will become reality.
Millions of people were probably watching you, Microsoft Ignite.
Don't get me wrong. I don't want to, like any community conference, and especially myself as a community conference organizer, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of dedication. It's a lot of passion. And of course, with the Microsoft Ignite, it's very professional. There's a whole production team behind it. But those are also all people who really put their passion into the event, as well as with community conferences.
So yeah, I said thank you both of you for your time. I know how busy you are. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
From myself, thank you so much. Thank you for everything you do, and thank you for inspiring us as well. I'm sure. Yeah.
There we go.
Right?
Come on, Imran.
Come on.
You can do it.
You got it.
Well done.
Just carry on what you're doing, and
you as well.
Marvelous job. Just carry on, making everyone laugh, cheering people up. You're doing a fantastic job.
As are you. Thank you for having us, and thank you for including us on International Women's Day. It's been a pleasure to talk to you guys today.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so from all of us,
right.
goodbye, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Bye, you guys. Take care.
Bye.
Yep. See, you got it.